I just came back from my very first cruise. Yes, I said very first cruise. I am a cruise newbie, and I wanted to share with you my honest review of the Norwegian Sky. Welcome to the channel. I'm Miss Muppet. If it's your first time here, welcome. Happy that you joined in. And if you're here, I'm assuming it's because you're probably preparing to go on a cruise in the near future, or maybe you've just come back from a cruise and now maybe looking to go on your second cruise, and the Norwegian Sky might be up on your list of choices for cruise ships. So in this video, I'm going to review with you 4 different things regarding the Norwegian Sky that hopefully you'll find helpful in preparing for your own upcoming cruise. If this is your type of content, if you enjoy travel reviews, please do consider subscribing to my channel. I do plan on having much more of these type of videos coming in the near future because I love to travel. I have always loved to travel. I grew up traveling with my family, and so travel for me is a huge value. And I just came back from my very first cruise with the Norwegian Sky. And going on a cruise is something that's been a bucket list of mine for many, many years. In fact, about a year ago, I created my very first vision board, and one of the pictures I had on my vision board was a cruise ship. Going on a cruise is something that I had put on my 5-year plan, and it came true this year. I'm planning on making a side video that talks a little bit about how I was able to financially save up for a cruise. So if that's something you've been thinking about as well, how can you actually fund and finance a cruise? If finances are a little bit tight, but travel is important to you, I will have a video that talks about the strategies I used, so you might want to subscribe for that if that's something that you're interested in learning more about as well. Okay, so going on a cruise, I actually had no idea what to expect, and I didn't think I was going to enjoy it, to be honest. I'm the type of traveler where I like to be adventurous, and I enjoy being able to be in a place for about a week at a time and fully exploring the area that I'm in. I like to create my own itinerary. I like to get out, meet the people, dive into the culture of wherever it is I'm visiting, and be really, really active. So I wasn't sure if going on a cruise was actually going to fit my preferred travel style, but I had a blast, and going on a cruise is something I would now recommend to anyone to try it at least once. So the first thing I want to talk about are the rooms. I myself shared an inside cabin with my daughter, so it was just the 2 of us. And having it be my first cruise, I started small. The inside cabin was also the most financially affordable option for me and my family at that time. The first thing I noticed about the inside cabin walking in is that it was a pretty tight space. Luckily, we were only 2 in the cabin, so we managed quite well. And a little trick to keep in mind is you can have the cabin set up in 2 different ways. Most likely when you arrive, the cabin will have 1 queen or king size bed in the room already set up for you, which can actually make the room feel and look quite small. But what I did is I asked our cabin steward if he could separate the bed for us, because that is a request you can ask for. And we ended up having 2 single beds that sat against the wall, and that gave us a lot more storage space. We were able to put our suitcases underneath our own individual beds. We also had a walking space right down the middle aisle, and it just made the room feel a lot bigger and a lot more spacious, and gave my daughter and I our own each separate areas of the room that we could either keep clean or mess up to our own heart's desire. The room was very nice, very clean. It had some nice artwork on the wall. With an inside cabin, we don't have a window or a balcony, so we didn't have any natural light coming in. So the artwork on the wall was a nice touch just to kind of have something to look at. The bathroom as well was okay. It was tight, it was a little bit small. It didn't have a plastic shower curtain. It had more of a cloth shower curtain that didn't quite go all the way to the floor. So at times our floor did get a bit wet, but my daughter and I managed pretty well. We each had enough counter space for our products, hair products, facial products. And the nice thing about the bathrooms as well is that they did have some storage units on the side wall, and we each had our own. So we were able to store our own products separately. So that was a big help as well. I also brought a little air freshener with me for the bathrooms, just in case they were a little smelly, but I have to say, they were fine. I was a little worried with it being a smaller confined space that perhaps the smell in the bathroom may become a little too strong. I did have the air freshener there, but I don't really think it was needed. But honestly, it was a non-issue. Our room did only have one outlet for a plug, so I would definitely recommend bringing your own adapter onto the cruise, especially if you have an Apple phone. You might want to get an adapter that has the charging capability for your Apple phone on there. We brought one and it was extremely handy. We were able to charge multiple devices at once. So I would definitely recommend bringing that, and just something to keep in mind. Another thing to keep in mind is that the cabins don't have ironing boards. So if you are somebody who does like to iron your clothes on a daily basis, you can't stand those wrinkles, that's also something to keep in mind. The fact that you will not have an ironing board available to you in the room, and you are not allowed to bring your own ironing board on the cruise ships either. Another thing I'd mention about the cabins is that if you have an inside cabin like I did, something to note is that because there's no window at night, it is pitch black in that room. So you can leave a little light on in the bathroom. We had another light available at the mirror, at the little desk there. They are a little bit bright, so if having light at night disrupts your sleep pattern, that may be an issue for you, but also just something to keep in mind that the cabins are extremely dark at night. The service we got for our room with the Norwegian Sky was fantastic. We had a fantastic, attentive room steward, so we felt very lucky about that. They will change your towels for you on a daily basis. They'll make up the room for you on a daily basis as well. They're great to communicate with. You are provided the phone number for your room steward in case you need any assistance or if you have any questions. And our steward was extremely friendly and helpful. Two other things I really liked about my room is that it was very quiet. At no point did I hear our neighbors. We were connected between two other rooms and it was really quiet. There was no noise coming through the walls with the other rooms for our inside cabin. So that was great because it is something that I was worried about. I didn't know if having an inside cabin meant that the noise level was really high, but we had no problems with that. And we also got movies on our TV in the cabin. I'm pretty sure this might be a standard thing for all cruises, but it was great because on the nights where if I was really tired or if I really didn't feel like going and participating in any of the activities, I was able to just come back to my cabin room and enjoy a movie. Bring some chicken wings with me from the local bar and just relax and enjoy a movie. And the movie selections were really good. I didn't have any issues with this per se myself, but one of my family members that I was traveling with did have a lot of issues with his bathroom toilet clogging up quite a bit throughout the cruise. I think his toilet clogged almost every second day. So there seemed to be an issue with their toilet system, perhaps. I'm not too sure what that was all about, but what I will say is when he did bring it to Norwegian Sky's attention, they were fantastic in helping him out, and they did give him a bit of a rebate for his cruise price. So customer service was fantastic at least. And in the end, I think he did get the issue with the toilet fixed out. So again, this being my very first cruise, I don't really have anything else that I can compare to at this point, but if I were to rate our room on the Norwegian Sky, I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. As a first-time cruiser, I was very pleased. Okay, so let's talk about the food. If you're like me, you're a foodie when you travel. When I travel, food is extremely important. To the point where if I've done reviews and I've read that the food in the destination I'm thinking of traveling to isn't good, I won't go because I need to have some good eats when I'm on my vacation. I love food. I love to eat. I'd always heard great things about the food on a cruise, but I was about to put that to the test, and I definitely did. The Norwegian Sky had 2 main buffet areas on the 11th deck. They both served very similar food. I think the dessert area changed a little bit for the buffet area that was on the outside deck, which was nice because you did have some different choices in desserts. I got a sweet tooth, so that was really nice. There was also an Italian restaurant on the 11th floor where you can go and have like a pizza buffet. And then there was also a bar called the Local Bar, where you could order things like chicken wings and other finger foods. So the food selection on the Norwegian Sky was fantastic. On top of the buffet areas, you do have a couple restaurants that you could go and dine in as well. You do need to make reservations for those restaurants. So whether you do that before you travel or while you're on the cruise ship, I would highly recommend doing that before you leave because the restaurants did fill up fairly quickly. And by the time you got on the cruise, a lot of the spots that were still available to dine were very late in the evening, like 9 p.m. So if that's something you're thinking of doing, I would definitely recommend going into your Norwegian app and reserving your party's table at whatever restaurant you want to dine in. But the food was great. I personally did the steakhouse, and let me tell you, the steak in that steakhouse, probably the best steak I've ever had in my life. The atmosphere was just gorgeous. It was on the 12th deck, which is the highest deck of the Norwegian Sky, and so the view was beautiful. You could definitely dress up, especially the steakhouse, so I enjoyed it because it gave me an opportunity to put on a really nice sundress, which I did, and just enjoy the evening with family and friends. There are 2 other sit-down restaurants that are included with the cruise, meaning you don't have to pay an extra fee, but you still do need to, or at least I would recommend making a reservation, even if it's the morning of, if you know you want to go into one of these restaurants and eat at night. We spent a lot of time at the Palace, which is one of these 2 restaurants, and it's a sit-down dining experience if you just want to change from the buffet area. Somewhere else you can go that's nice, really nice atmosphere, and you have wait staff there to serve you. So it is another option that's there for you as well. Personally, my opinion regarding the food, the Palace was very nice to have that family time. We were a large group, we were a group of 15. So it was nice just to be able to sit together and just kind of catch up on the day, talk about how our cruise experience was going, and also sit down and finally connect with our teenagers who for the most part were out and about all day on the cruise. So definitely a nice time just to kind of regroup, come back together if you're with friends and family, and just chat and enjoy a nice meal. However, I actually preferred the buffet most of the time. I personally found that the variety and quality of the food was better in the buffet areas compared to some of the sit-down restaurant areas. I tended to be a lot happier with the selection that was in the buffet area as well. So I would recommend eating at the buffet the majority of the time on the Norwegian Sky. I would highly recommend the steakhouse. There is a sushi restaurant as well, which I didn't get to try, but I have some other friends and families that did go to that restaurant and they said it was phenomenal as well. So in terms of the food, I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. Okay, so let's talk about some of the activities and entertainment that's available to you on the Norwegian Sky. One thing I will say is that the Norwegian Sky is not lacking in this area whatsoever. There is always something to do. I think that's one of the things I was probably most surprised about. I didn't realize there would be a full itinerary that basically lists out hour by hour what's available to you in all the different areas and spaces around the ship. So the Norwegian Sky has a theater which gave some really great Broadway type shows. There was a magician that we went to see. There was a comedian. So that's great because I love those type of shows. I love Broadway. And so being able to just go and sit down was fantastic. You do have service in the theater as well. So there will be wait staff coming around that ask you if you'd like a drink. So you don't have to worry about bringing your own drink to the theater. If you don't want to, you can just wait, sit back and wait for the waiter to come and they'll serve you while they're there. There were also lots of great games. Bingo was a big one on that cruise ship with some really impressive prizes as well. They had karaoke. I got the chance to learn how to country line dance for the very first time, which is something that's always been on my bucket list. And so they had a country line dancing class. So when I saw that on the itinerary, I jumped at the opportunity and I had a great time.
Oh my God.
For a first-time country line dancer, let me tell you, it's a lot more challenging than it looks. There is a lot of coordination required for this type of dancing, and if you mess up, you run the risk of knocking other people over. But I had a great time learning how to do it, and I think I did pretty well. The pool deck area is another area which always had something going on, whether it was a live band. The Caribbean live band that Norwegian Sky brought on board was fantastic. They always had great music pumping out at the pool, which just added a lot of life to the environment. There was a neon night as well, which I had a blast. I danced until I dropped that night, and it was just something different. You come out, you wear white, and you just have a good time to the great music that's playing. Every evening, you will receive the itinerary for the next day's activity lineup outside the door of your cabin room. So it's a great way for you to take a look at what's coming up the next day and just get involved in as many activities that you like. They're spread out far enough so that if you wanted to participate in something at least once during your cruise, you'll most likely have the opportunity to do so. Some of the activities also repeat on a daily basis. So if you didn't have a chance to do it today, odds are you'll have the ability to join in the next day. And activities started from, I think it was 5 a.m. in the morning until midnight or 1 a.m. the next morning. So you really never ran out of something to do. Another great thing about it having a full day of activities planned for you is if you decided to spend a day on ship, on a day where you docked and you could participate in excursions, that means the ship is probably going to be less busy, but there's still going to be a full day of itinerary and activities available to you. So it's a great opportunity to take advantage of that, because odds are there'll be less crowds, less lineups, and the pool area will definitely be free on those days. So those are great days to just stay on ship and get yourself involved in what they have going on. So again, not really having anything else to compare to, I would give the activities and entertainment on the Norwegian Sky a score of 8.5 out of 10 because I really had a great time. The last thing I'll talk about quickly is the staff. The staff on the Norwegian Sky work so hard every single day. And I don't really have anything negative to say about the staff on the Norwegian Sky. My experience was fantastic. Our room steward was amazing. The waiters that we had were very friendly, engaged in conversation with you, even opened up about their own personal life stories. So it was nice to have the chance to actually get to know some of the staff that worked on the ship. One thing that I loved and that really kind of brightened every morning for me is when you walk in the buffet area in the Norwegian Sky, you are most likely always greeted by a group of staff who are basically there to welcome you into the buffet area by song. Big thing on the cruise ship is they want to encourage and remind everybody to wash your hands before coming into the food area. So there was a crew every morning at the entrance of the buffet. They became known as the Washy Washy crew on the Norwegian Sky. Literally, they self-called themselves the Washy Washy crew, and they would greet you every morning before coming into the buffet, singing and dancing and just making it an enjoyable, happy experience. So that was really fun, something really neat to wake up to every morning. So if you are thinking of going on the Norwegian Sky, I would definitely recommend the Norwegian Sky as a cruise ship to experience. It is one of the smaller cruise ships, I've been told, but honestly, with 12 decks, you didn't really feel it. There's still a lot to do for both adults and teenagers. I will be making another video that talks a little bit more about activities available for teens specifically on the Norwegian Sky. So if that's something you're interested in hearing more about, please do subscribe because that is also coming up. If there's anything else that you're wondering about the Norwegian Sky that perhaps I didn't cover in this video, please feel free to leave a comment asking me whatever questions you might have about the Norwegian Sky. I love to read the comments and I do respond usually within a couple days. So don't be shy. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions. Happy cruising! Like always, thank you for spending this time with me, and I will see you in the next video.